1, 2, 3.
Dasar dan produktiviti. Anda selalu mendengar dasar-dasar ekonomi negara serta negeri berdasarkan hasil peningkatan pengeluaran dalam negara kasar, KDNK, peningkatan ekspor, peningkatan pelaburan, serta peningkatan peluang pekerjaan. Hasil-hasil ini juga dikaitkan dengan peningkatan taraf kehidupan rakyat. Adakah dasar-dasar seperti ini sesuai atau sebaliknya? Apakah pandangan anda? Adakah anda sering mendengar dasar-dasar ekonomi turut menyatakan sasaran peningkatan produktiviti industri, negeri dan negara? Sebagai contoh, penambahan KDNK yang merupakan output negara adalah kurang sesuai sehingga menyebabkan penambahan input yang lebih besar. Ini bermakna kadar output terhasil berbanding input adalah semakin mengecil atau dalam andaian mudah, produktiviti menurun walaupun KDNK bertambah. Dalam setiap dasar-dasar ekonomi, perlulah diberi perhatian dalam mengupayakan peningkatan kecekapan atau produktiviti untuk menukar sumber input yang terdiri dari tenaga kerja serta modal ke produk dan perkhidmatan. Sebagai contoh, sistem pengenalan dasar-dasar perlu terarah untuk mendukung peningkatan kemampuan pekerja untuk menghasilkan output yang lebih besar jika sumber input semasa dikekalkan atau berkurangan. Organisasi perlu akan membuat inovasi terutama dengan penggunaan teknologi yang dapat membantu meningkatkan produktiviti, pengurangan kos, penghasilan produk yang berkualiti serta dapat dijual di nilai yang lebih tinggi dengan penembusan pasaran yang lebih baik. Perlu diberi perhatian. Secara tegas, dasar tentulah kepada peningkatan produktiviti. Sasaran peningkatan produktiviti sudah pasti peningkatan taraf dan kualiti kehidupan rakyat Malaysia yang kita impikan bakal menjadi kenyataan. Anda boleh memastikan kita, organisasi, negeri dan negara Malaysia lebih produktif. Pesanan ini dibawa oleh Perbadanan Produktiviti Malaysia.
Okay, good morning everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar session. So today we'll be discussing on how we can achieve cyber resiliency for your next smart factory. As we know, with the rise of technology in our industry and our businesses nowadays, there is also a rise in cyber threats and security breach and so on, right? So for today, we have our webinar session hosted exclusively by Malaysia Productivity Corporation. Malaysian Productivity Corporation in collaboration with Y&Y Technology and also Cybersecurity Malaysia. So today we'll have two speakers with us to give our input. One is Mr. One second, yeah. No, okay. All right, sorry guys for the small technical error. I shall start again. Today we'll be having our webinar session on achieving cyber resiliency for your next smart factory. So this webinar session is brought to you by MPC in collaboration with Y&Y Technology and also Cybersecurity Malaysia. So for today's session, we'll split into two subsections because we have two speakers with us. Our first speaker will be Mr. Mohamed Anwer, representing Cybersecurity Malaysia. And our next session will be led by Mr. Gary Kong from Y&Y Technology. So to move on with the first session, let me give you a brief introduction on our first speaker. So Mr. Mohamed Anwer has a Bachelor of Science in Aeronautical Engineering graduating from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Florida, USA. All right. So he has more than 25 years of experience in Malaysian ICT with skill sets covering um, supply chain management and also business process re-engineering. And for the last 15 years, he has been involved in the aspect of information security division. As of now, currently he is the head of cybersecurity industry engagement and collaboration department. So we know that he has tons of experience in this particular sector. So for today, he'll be sharing with us on Cybersecurity Health Check, how we can identify our weakest links. All right. So for this session, we'll be exploring why is a cyber health check essential for our business, and also how can we identify our business weakest security areas so that we can improve, and also appropriate measures that we can take to mitigate our risk against cyber attackers and so on, and cyber breaches. All right. So without further ado, I will pass the floor to Mr. Anwar, and we can proceed with the presentation.
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Vishen, for the introduction. Are my slides on? Is everything okay?
Yes, we can see it. Oh, sorry to interrupt, a small announcement. If you guys have any questions regarding any of this topic presented today, please type in our chat box, and then we will have a short Q&A session after the presentation is over, and we'll try to discuss all the questions, and we hope that the speakers can give you the answers. Sure. All right, so please begin.
All right, thank you, guys. Well, this unfortunately are the limitations in technology. Talking to a computer is definitely not the same as talking to live human beings. So anyway, I'm going to share some experience on cybersecurity. First of all, let me make this disclaimer. I'm not an expert. I've been in this field for 15 years. I have seen some really, smart sifus and gurus that are really technically superb and awesome. My experience is just because I've been in this field for 15 years, I've seen quite a lot, and I'm pretty sure there are a lot of good people out there that I can share. They can share their knowledge with me as well. Okay, so just to keep everything going, I think if we look at the situation over the last 1 year plus the pandemic, it is definitely a big concern to everybody. We look at the digitalization, Malaysian government coming up with the My Digital Blueprint, digital transformation, and how companies have been looking at handling their crisis. Okay, so we are looking at the probably not 5C. Yeah? If you put in COVID, it's going to be the 6 C's of risk: the change in technology, crisis management, the culture of an organization, the compliance that we have to follow through, and of course now cybersecurity. So I wonder sometimes, all the IT guys, whether they can sleep well at night or not with all these issues. I think this is common. If I ask any one of you, what is the first thing they do when they wake up in the morning? You don't open your Bible or your Kitab or your Quran. The first thing you do is you reach out to your handphone and you check your WhatsApp messages. Betul ke tak? Betul kan? What is the last thing you do before you go to bed? Same. You check your WhatsApp messages. So it's we are so addicted, we are so hooked up to our handphone, to our smartphone, that probably now the phone is smarter than us. Okay, so we are exactly in this age now of big data, where sometimes unnecessary information. Hari ni buka puasa makan apa, ambil gambar, send to everybody. But that is basically what it is all about. Huh? It's about consumerization of IT, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens when 5G is fully rolled out. And I think what we saw with 4G, how Grab
killed off the taxi business, how the disruption of Grab in the food delivery as well. To some extent, of course, we are grateful because during the lockdown, at least someone can deliver food to us. And this is what is happening now, okay? IT, our handphones, like a utility, okay? It have to be on all the time. It's like water, it's like electricity. Turn on, you know, the lights are on. You open the tap, the water is there. So with all this going on, did we ever stop for a while and think, wow, what if we ever kena attack, okay? How bad is this going to happen? So I hope my presentation, I'll be able to share with you some of the serious hacks that are going on, still going on. For example, SolarWinds, okay? This is a very big issue in our cybersecurity community now. SolarWinds is actually a network, sorry, SolarWinds, they make network management software. It's called Orion. And what happened was, we think, okay, we're not sure, but most probably some Russian hackers, they injected malware in the SolarWinds software, okay? So when you were updating your SolarWinds management software, Orion, the malware gets injected into your system, okay? So that malware, of course, goes into your network, okay? And probably about 18,000 plus customers has been infected. We're not sure, maybe it could be more. And some of these 18,000 customers are in Malaysia, and some of them, unfortunately, are in the financial sector. So this is a big issue. It is ongoing now, and we are still investigating the impact and what can be done to resolve this. Yeah. So how did that happen? I think, as you can see, this very interesting. One of the administrators in SolarWinds, the password was SolarWinds123. Not very intelligent, yeah. So one of the key things that we need to remember is this, okay? Whatever password that you have, please do not have password ABC123, your company name 123, okay? So it is serious. And this is a statement made by President Obama way back in 2013. By the way, guys, it is not just America, yeah, it is everyone, Malaysia, America, everybody, all countries. We are all facing growing threats from cyber attacks, okay? Our enemies, they have the capability to sabotage our power grid, electrical. They have the power to sabotage our financial institution, our air traffic control system, and of course, manufacturing factories, everything, okay? So we cannot look back and wonder why we have not done anything. And this, guys, was more than 7 years ago. And the threats, unfortunately, are getting worse, okay? More than 1 million new malware threats per day, okay? Basically, as far as I think I'm concerned, all companies are infected. And the financial losses is more than 500 billion, okay? And it takes almost 200 days to respond to a breach, okay? The amount of spending, annual spending on cybersecurity 2020 is more than 100 billion. But the losses due to cyber attack is almost $2 trillion, okay? So big issue. And likewise in Malaysia, I think a couple of years ago, from Lawyat, we found out that about 47 million of our personal data was on sale in the deep web, okay? And until today, we are still investigating what happened. This was the information. Sorry, not just from the telecommunication, the database that was being sold in the deep web. Part one is data from Academy of Medicine Malaysia, and then they have the database from Job Street. You know, all the candidates, their information, probably their details there as well. And of course, part three is the medical information, and part four all the telecommunications from Altel, Celcom, DG, Maxis, everything, name it, yeah. So more than 47 million. And on top of that, not only our personal data, some of the organizations that has been attacked, compromised, Astro, Post Malaysia, Malindo, and even universities. And Microsoft estimate the cybersecurity threats in Malaysia alone, the losses more than US 12 billion. That is what, about 50 billion losses, economic losses. And this is something that I think a lot of us are familiar. It happened to MITI when MITI opened up the servers for registration last year in April. More than 180 applications flooded in and the server crashed. So I was fortunate because I was involved in the fixing up of this. And what happened was the hosting is done in Puchong, but the web application firewall was in US. So when the traffic was heavy, the provider in US blocked the traffic from Malaysia. So that's why the system stopped. What we did was we reconfigured it so that the traffic is in Malaysia. We added in more load balancers and database servers, and we put in a lot of security guidelines and features there as well. And once when the system was up and running, we were experiencing between 3,000 to 5,000 attacks a day. And on top of that, the file, Excel file, was controlled to about 10 megabytes. But we saw people trying to load 100 megabyte files. So interesting. And a lot of these attacks and a lot of these funny people are Malaysians, okay? But of course, we were getting attacks from all over the world. Again, guys, we were experiencing between 3,000 to 5,000 attacks a day on one system, okay? So just looking at the internet use in Malaysia, this is the latest internet statistics from April 4th, yeah? Looking at our population, about 32.7 million, GDP of about 11,000 US dollars, but 89% of our population are on the internet, okay? And almost all of them are on Facebook, probably Facebook and WhatsApp. In fact, if we compare ourselves to Singapore, a much more wealthier country than us, 6 times wealthier, look at their GDP, 65,000, yeah, 6 times our GDP. And the population on internet is 88%, okay? So guys, you know, we should clap and congratulate ourselves. We are better than Singapore when it comes to internet and Facebook penetration, yeah? Our Facebook penetration, 82%. Singapore is only 77%, yeah? So well done, Malaysia. But of course, with that, we are looking at cyber threats, okay? Cybersecurity Malaysia, under the MyCert, last year, more than 10,700 cases were reported. And we detected almost 1.7 million malware infections by unique IP. And also we detected 3.7 million botnet drones, yeah? Okay. So on an average, okay, I think this is the trend that we can see. On an average, we see between 800 to 1,000 cases reported. But the top 3 incidents are fraud, intrusion, and malicious code, okay? So this is serious because the cases that are reported to us is probably only a tip of the iceberg. A lot more is not reported because it is not mandatory reporting. Being attacked, having a cyber incident, it is not like a car accident, yeah? So if you get into a car accident, you make a police report, you can claim insurance. So how many of us out there, we have cyber insurance? And I would like to share an interesting story. Yesterday, I was with one of my colleagues, and relating to manufacturing company, factory, okay, making world-class products, and they were hit by ransomware, and it basically affected their entire operation. And yes, they have cyber insurance, okay. The funny thing is, the cyber insurance company is negotiating with the hackers to pay the ransom. And the hackers told the factory, your ransom is between 7,000 US dollars to 70,000 US dollars. So the IT guys were surprised. How do you determine how much we have to pay? Or you have to allow us to get into your network, into your system, and then we will determine how important your data is, and we will tell you the ransomware. And of course, that is ridiculous, okay? Luckily, the IT guys are smart enough and say, no, you cannot get into our network, okay? But this is the surprising thing. The insurance company is negotiating with the hackers to pay the ransom. Well, okay, you know, go figure out what is going on. Now, in terms of ranking, okay, unfortunately, Malaysia's security ranking is somewhere in the middle, Thailand and Italy. If you look at the percentage of mobile phones infected with malware, more than 30%. Financial attacks, more than 15%, okay? Computers infected with malware, I have a problem believing this, 21%. I think it's definitely much higher. So anyway, the ranking is, we are 35 in the world, so not too great, yeah? So if we look at all this, are we ready if we are attacked? Are we prepared? Do we have the people to handle this? Do we have the processes? What tools are we using, okay? So because of this, we understand the cybersecurity issue is critical on the government side. Cybersecurity Malaysia, together with Mampu, we propose to this Jawatan Kuasa Pemodenan dan Pendigitalan Sektor Awam on how to handle cybersecurity on the operational and technical aspect. Yeah. So we suggested to them a cybersecurity health check. Okay, and this health check should be done periodically, and of course with our Kementerian Komunikasi and Multimedia together with Mampu. Okay, so I would like to share some of these details. So overall, there are 6 scopes that we are going to be doing. Okay, the first one is on the overall planning of the health check, coming up with this garis panduan technical, and then of course being in government, we need to have workshops, syndication workshops with the stakeholders on what is to be done, how it is to be done, which organizations are selected to do the health check, and then we will develop the videos, awareness videos, and then of course number 4 is the actual implementation of the health check. Okay, so the scope is, we are looking at on the governance side to do risk assessment, and then after that we will look into the competence and the culture within the organization, the physical security, technical operation, and we will of course be looking into scanning for malware, doing vulnerability assessment, pen testing, plus if required, cybersecurity awareness management training, and finally the reporting. With this, we will come up with a cybersecurity awareness program, and we are looking at the improvement and integration of information security governance, risk and compliance system. ISGRIC stands for Information Security Governance, Risk and Compliance. Okay, so this is the scope, guys. Okay, on the first part is the risk assessment. Okay, risk assessment, we look at the governance within an organization. Who is responsible for what? Is there anybody looking after cybersecurity and the management of risk in that organization? What about the people, the competence of the people, the culture, and of course physical security. Server room, is it properly locked up? Computers, how do you look at the physical security of the computers? And of course the technical operation. Yeah. Second one is where we will do malware scanning. We have our tools called CMUP, developed in-house by CSM and our experts. Number 3 will be the pen test, the vulnerability assessment, and of course the training part. Yeah. So we basically divide into three type of organizations: high risk, medium, and low risk. Okay, so when it comes to high risk, again, after doing all the risk management part, we will do malware scanning for about 700 to 1000 IPs. Okay, and when we do the vulnerability assessment, we will do external pen test plus the internal pen test, and after that we will have the web application security assessment, server assessment, database. We will do a configuration review for network devices, of course only in one location. Okay, and the variety of these. Yeah, so this is for high risk. For medium risk, we will do the same thing, but for slightly less numbers. Okay. So the implementation will look into people, process, and technology, how it is to be done, and then the tactical part of it, and of course the strategic. Okay, all this will be reported to our stakeholders. Yeah. So this is how it's going to be done, and of course the benefits. Okay. Why? And I think doing a health check is not just for the government sectors. It should be done for everybody, because we are in an environment where it is full of risk. Okay, we are full of compliance, and we need to make sure that we comply to the standards, okay, to the guidelines, whether it's government organization, agency, or manufacturing. Yeah, if especially you are going for smart factory, industry 4.0, there are a lot of compliance and guidelines that you must follow. And definitely for point number 2 will be the internal audit. And for government, of course, we want to make sure that the service that we provide is always at the optimum level. Okay, and likewise, we would like to develop our cybersecurity industry and the confidence to our people, yeah, rakyat and investors. And last but not least, to increase the job opportunities. So this is on the overall part of it, why it should be done, and I guess it is a continuous effort. Just to share just a little bit. Okay, how do you wash your hands online? Okay, so to mitigate the risk of coronavirus, the only thing that so far that we know kills COVID is washing your hands with soap and using hand sanitizers with 70% alcohol. Okay, guys, when you are online, how do you keep yourself sterile? How do you keep yourself clean? One is you keep the virus out. Okay, how do you keep the virus out? Firewalls, antivirus. Do not go to unnecessary websites. Okay, do not share public Wi-Fi. Okay, and then second will be screening. You need to do regular health checks and stay healthy. Stay healthy is of course using your software updates and patches. Okay, so again, this is a continuous effort. It is not something that once you have done it 6 months then you don't do anything. No. Okay, you have to constantly wash your hands. You have to constantly keep the computer clean. Okay, so back to the original question, how ready are we in terms of people? Do we have what level of resources do you have in your organization? Are your IT people capable, advanced cybersecurity expert, or they are still at the basic IT and networking expert? Okay, processes. What do you have? Do you have at least the minimum ISO 27001, or what else do you have in your organization? Okay, in terms of technology, what antivirus are you using? What firewall do you have in place? And especially for factories, the operational technology, OT threat management. Okay, how are you monitoring and managing your smart factory environment? Because when it comes to cybersecurity, the bottom line is about people. Okay, we need to make sure that our people are properly trained, they are aware. We give them the exercise. Yeah, they have done emergency drills, and they have gone through all the necessary aspects. So without the people in place, whatever process and technology you have, the system is going to fail. Okay. And coming to the end now, in terms of the checklist, okay, this is from Interpol. All right. First and foremost, you definitely, and please guys, this is very important. Okay, always backup your data. Keep multiple copies, one probably in your external hard drive, and probably some of your data in the cloud. But please, when you are storing your data in the cloud, encrypt it and use strong passwords. Okay, and if you are using your home network, strengthen your Wi-Fi. Again, keep everything updated. Manage your social media profiles. Okay, please check your privacy and security settings. When it comes to cyber security, sharing is not caring. Okay, please always be vigilant, be skeptical, and be safe. Okay, now that in about 20 plus minutes is my presentation, and always remember this. Okay, I'm not a Liverpool fan, I'm a Spurs fan. Okay, but I think there are some of these phrases. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, we are all in this thing together. We cannot solve the cybersecurity problem alone. Yeah, we are all in this together. We need to work together to solve this problem. Okay. With that, that ends my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
All right,
Okay,
thank you
please.
so much, Mr. Anwar,
Sure,
for
man.
your lengthy and interesting explanation. So
Sure.
we will we will
Yeah.
spend some time in for any question and answer. So if you have any questions, audience, you can please type it out in the questions box. Okay, we have one. 1 second. Okay, Mr. Anwar,
Sure.
how often do we need to have a cyber health check for our company? If let's say if we are running a business.
Okay. My suggestion would be at least minimum every 6 months. Why? Because this is also the requirement by Bank Negara. Bank Negara, they have their risk management in technology RMIT guide, and the recommended time is every 6 months. So that would be nice. If you can't do it every 6 months, at least if you can do it once a year, put not too bad lah.
Okay, right.
And I think some of the issues that we need to understand is this. When you look at the enterprise, the hackers are looking at your office environment, your data, your office data, for example, your financial information, your customer. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, the data that has been compromised and Lawyat mentioned is in the deep web, your personal profile. Because your personal profile is of value in the deep web. Okay, your name, your IC, credit card details, one record can be sold for about $10 US. So imagine if someone have hacked the medical records with the credit card details of 1 million records. Yeah, how much is that going to be selling in the deep web, in the dark net, and all that stuff? So this is big money for them. So the motivation for the hackers when they hack our personal record is to sell in the deep web. Now, what is the motivation of the hacker when they hack OT? Your factory. What is their motivation? Well, this is something that I need to sit down and discuss. Why would they want to hack your machine? Of what interest is it to them? Sabotage? Because what data are they going to collect? If it's from CCTV, okay, we understand CCTV data, but from the machines. So I guess this is where my brother afterwards, Gary, will clarify lah. Okay, the motivations for the hackers when they hack your smart factory. What are they looking at? Your industrial information, your engineering data, your intellectual property, many other factors. Okay.
All right. So following up from that question, But if you can see on the chat box, let's say if I were to subscribe for a cyber health check, usually how long does the whole process take? And also
Okay.
what are the activities that usually are conducted?
Okay, very good question. Okay. First of all, let me apologize and saying this. Health check is not cheap. Okay. This entire process of doing the risk assessment, doing the malware scanning, and doing the pen test, it will take between 3 to 4 weeks. Okay, because it takes a while. Yeah, I mean, you need to do the risk assessment, you need to do the scanning, then the pen test, and then of course the report writing and everything. It takes about 3 to 4 weeks, but it's not cheap. Okay, it's anywhere between 150 to 200,000 depending on the. So yes, guys, mahal sedikit, but our government of Malaysia, we are looking at ways of subsidizing it. So we are looking at ways of, at least, we provide a subsidy to it.
Yes, it will be very helpful.
Yeah, we are working with Ministry of Finance and EPU to come up with a package to do health check for the manufacturing industry. To share some good news, for this year, we have received approval to do health check for 15 factories.
Oh.
So we are going to be doing it for 15 factories for this year. Hopefully, this is continued for next year as well. We hope to get a bigger number next year, because this year 15 factories is only a pilot scheme. Very mahal lah bang. Okay? A lot of resources involved in it. I mean, there will be 4 set of people. The first set of people do the risk assessment. Different set of people. Most of the time, the people that are doing risk assessment are ladies, okay, because this is their forte, okay. Of course, they are guys. Then the second part will be on the malware scanning. Malware scanning, all hackers lah. All these people that are doing scanning. And the third part will be the pen testers. So already 3 sets of people. Then finally the training. What training do you need? So it is a comprehensive, holistic lah, from risk assessment to malware scanning to pen test. Then what training is provided? So mahal sedikit lah.
All right. Okay. So for our last question regarding your topic.
Sure.
So in your opinion, do you think that it's a mandatory step for employees to undergo training to prevent breaches in computer security?
Okay, this is my take. It is not just mandatory for employees, it is mandatory for the bosses. Because a lot of the time, okay, is the bosses. So it is not just for employees, okay? And by the way, it is not just about training. First and foremost is awareness. People have to understand, awareness on email phishing. I think if we are aware here, when an email is sent to you, how do you authenticate that email is genuine or not? And how do you know that the file attached in the email is not a poisonous file, does not contain malware? So yes, it is very important that this awareness is given not just to employees, but to everybody. And this awareness program must be continuous, If I have just 5 more minutes, and if I can share with everyone, if you have your smartphone or PC in front of you, if you can just go to this website, okay? Have I been pawned? If you can type in your HAVE, have I been pawned? Boleh nampak ke?
Have I been pawned?
Have I been pawned? Okay. Have I been pawned? Okay. So if you can go to this website, you can see here, you can key in your email address. Okay. Key in your email address and see whether your email address has been breached or not. Okay, let me type. I type my email address, anwar@gmail.com. Yeah. Oh boy. Okay. Anwar Gmail is pawned in 10 data breach, okay? And I don't even know what this data breaches in. For example, in Apollo is a sales engagement, and then in the Bitcoin security forum. Oh man, so
what does this imply, Mr. Anwer?
yeah, so my Gmail account is found in 10 different websites in the deep web. Okay. By the way, this website, Have I Been Pawned, is developed by this very smart Australian IT expert. His name is Troy Hunt. Okay. Now, this is where you put in your email address. You check if your email address has been compromised or not. If you can just go to the other one, it says passwords. Okay. So now you can put in any password and see whether that password has been compromised or not. Okay, let's type this. ABC 1 2 3. Okay. See this, guys. This password ABC 1 2 3 is found 2,897,000 times. Okay. 2 million idiots out there are using this password ABC 1 2 3. Okay. Now, all you need to do is just change a little bit. Okay. Let's say your name is okay lah, Anwar lah. Okay. So I changed the password to ANWER, and then I use same characters 4 5 6 7. A simple email, Anwar 4 5 6 7, no pawn. Okay. So what this says is, please, for heaven's sake, whatever, do not use email like what I have shown you lah, okay? Because it is so easy to brute force, okay, to break a password like Anwar 1234 or ABC 123 or SolarWind 1234. Okay, please don't use this kind of passwords. Make sure your password you mix a little bit of characters, upper, middle, and some of these characters as well. Okay, cybersecurity is a continuous thing. Okay, I like to use the example like a toothbrush. You need to change your toothbrush regularly. Unfortunately, yesterday I gave training for a pretty big oil and gas company. The CEO of the company used a different example. He said passwords are like your underwears. Okay? You need to change regularly, and you don't show your underwears to anybody else. Okay, so I think both are good examples lah. You know, but we keep them. Okay. Any other questions?
All right, I think that's about it for now. Thank you so much for your explanation, Mr. Anwar. Okay, so
do I need to be online because I have another meeting to attend? But if you have any questions, you can just let me know. I'll be happy. I'll follow from my handphone.
Yes, sure, that'll do, Mr. Anwar.
Right. Thank you, guys.
So much.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
So, guys, we shall proceed with the next part of our presentation, which is presented by Mr. Gary. One second.
Okay.
All right. So, all right. So, a brief history about our next speaker, Mr. Gary Kong, who is from Y&Y Technology. So, Mr. Gary has been an ISO 27001 lead implementer and auditor. He's also a TTT certified trainer. All right, and his work mostly involves with ICS and OT security management, helping clients to improve their facilities, their businesses' security program. So over the years, Mr. Gary has delivered cybersecurity trainings with live demonstration. With live demonstrations to various organizations. In addition to that, he has also developed scripts to test for security tests and also monitoring purpose. And also one last thing is that Mr. Gary has been invited as an industry advisor and also a guest lecturer to give talks and speeches about this topic at Tunku Abdul Rahman University College. All right, so for today's session, Mr. Gary is going to give some tips and advice on what we need to know to secure our Industry 4.0 journey. So during his presentation, we will find out a bit of the tactics and techniques used by intruders on how they actually breach your system, and also what can be done if we were to be attacked by said harassers, cyber hackers, and so on. All right, so without further ado, I shall pass the presentation to Mr. Gary. One second. Okay, Mr. Gary, the floor is yours.
All right. Let me share my screen here.
Okay.
Right. Thank you, Chris, for your introduction. Thank you, Mr. Anwer, also for the insightful sharing just now. Right. It gives us a better understanding of what is happening in the digital world. Right. And also how can we handling our risk in our plan or organization, and how the risk, the health checking, the PPKS, that can help in achieving the cyber resilience for our next smart factory. Right. So I'm not sure whether you're able to see my screen.
Okay, now we can see. Now we can.
Let me share again. Yeah.
Okay.
Seems like it's not sharing the correct screen. Are you seeing the PPT slide?
We see what you need to know to secure your Industry 4.0 journey. It's a white screen.
Okay, good. Right. So this is the one. How about this? Are you see the WhatsApp image over here?
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. Yeah, because my laptop is actually scanning for the malware, so it's a bad lag from my end.
What a
So,
time to choose.
okay. Yeah, I believe most of us, our audience here, have at least one family WhatsApp group, right? Right. So those group that we will receive a good morning or a fixed signs from our parents or relative, right? So just few days ago, I received this message from one of my family group, right? It's a message related to the phishing or the IDN homograph attacks. Wow, I'm so happy when I'm seeing this, right? Finally, they are concerned about the cybersecurity. I believe you are concerned also the cybersecurity, so we are here today. Yeah. After our sharing today, you will be able to understand the parameters that are essential to be documented during the risk assessment, right? And also how to make use of the guidelines prepared by Cybersecurity Malaysia in order to mitigate the cybersecurity risk in your plan. You will also understand some of the tactics and techniques used by the cyber attackers to invade our production system and also their impacts. And lastly, you will be able to understand the resources required to build your cybersecurity monitor and detection mechanism to detect the abnormal behaviors. Right. So don't worry. Today I will share free tools and techniques for all of you that are attending the sharing today. So you will be able to begin or further enhance your cybersecurity programs in your plan. How would you rate the cybersecurity level of the cybersecurity program in your plan, right? From a scale of 1 to 10, right? You can drop your comment on the chat box. Yeah. Based on my observation in the ICS or the OT project that I handle so far, I found that there are two major problems, right? The first problem, believing only in the concepts, right? The engineers are not really clear about the current status of the assets. For some, the system, the network devices, yeah. So especially on the production system and also the network. So for example, when we're trying to perform the risk assessment or security assessment on the plant, we found that there are some IP addresses that are actually not documented. The asset is not listed in the asset inventory or drawn in the network diagram. So when we want to follow up, right, it will take time for them to identify the devices, and maybe at the end they don't even know what is it. This is a very serious issue over here. And the second problem that we found is the engineers are focused solely on the functionality in the design, right? So maybe the engineers will show you their architecture diagram, highlight to you they have a firewall in the network architecture diagram. But when we perform the health check or the security assessment, we found that yes, the firewall is in the network, but do not have the firewall functionality, right? So some useful security features are not turned on also, right? This provides a false sense of security to the plant owner. Yeah, the system is designed only focusing on the functionality but not the security. Yeah, the main concern for them is the stable communication, the production lines are functioning well and no disruption. Yeah. So to overcome the two issues that I mentioned earlier, we need to have guidelines to tell us what we can prepare for a better cybersecurity programs. All right. To ensure the effective implementation of the Industry 4.0 programs, as stated in our Industry Forward national policy, Cybersecurity Malaysia have established cybersecurity guidelines for Industry 4.0. Yeah, maybe I can turn on my browser so you can have a better understanding how can you get the guidelines, right? So you can go to the cybersecurity.my website, right, and navigate to the knowledge banks and then the principal guidelines. So over here, you will be able to get the guidelines. Yeah, this is the guideline for Secure Industrial 4.0 is free to download. Yeah. So let me have a look on the document. Yeah, so this is the guideline that you can start to download. Yeah, what written in this guideline is what you need to know, right, in order to secure your Industrial 4.0 journey. Yeah, so there are 14 security controls is defined in this guideline, right? So the first and the most important security control is this risk management, right? So the issue that we discussed earlier, I believe only in the concept, focus solely on the functionality in the design. It happens when there is no proper risk management in place. So today we will focus on how can we start our risk assessment, right, by using free tools. Okay, maybe. Before we start the risk assessment, the first step we have to do is we should have an asset register or asset inventory in place, right? The document that records the system, machine, devices in our production network. This inventory is very important so that we won't miss any hidden asset in our production network, like what I mentioned earlier, right? So it can be easily done by using an Excel file, right? So in the columns, right, we have an Excel file, then we have a column names that not limited to the asset name, the IP addresses, the function of the system or devices, location, operating system, core application running, and also its versions. User accounts should also be recorded. Yeah. So from the list of the assets that we documented, we have also need to identify what are the most important assets that assisted in our production network. For example, the PLC, right? So if the PLC is being compromised by the attacker, then it could stop your production. Yeah, so it will affect the business, affect the cost as well. After we have the asset inventory, right, the second document that we can start to prepare is a risk register, right? Again, this risk register can be also done by using just an Excel file. So the parameters or the columns we can include inside these documents are not limited to the asset that were prepared earlier, right? And also the vulnerabilities, the security weaknesses that assisted inside the asset, and also some maybe we can also take the input from the vulnerability assessment reports, yeah, to put inside this risk register, and also the threats right? The action done by the insider or the intruders against our asset. And once the attacker able to done the attack, right? So it will cause some consequences, the impact, yeah, towards our system, right? That could lead to the impact of the business objective. So these are the 4 essential parameters we should have in our risk register. And after we have this, then we can try to evaluate the consequences and also the likelihood, how easy this attack can be done, right, in this scenario. And with the combination of these consequences and the likelihood, then we can calculate the risk related to that attack on our asset. And finally, we can take the control, right, the security controls to mitigate the risk that is covered earlier. Right, I give an example, how can we fill in the value for these parameters. Okay, so I take a firewall for example. Firewall is one of the asset in our production network. So firewall is an asset, right? So one of the vulnerability that could be happen in the firewall is a weak password management. Right, for example, let's say we engage a third party to install a firewall in our production network, and no security requirement is required by the vendors, right? We just let them to install the thing in our network without defining any requirements. And if we didn't define anything to the vendors, so that the vendor could just put in the default password in the network devices. It's a common thing that we've seen in our project, right? The vendor didn't change any password. Maybe the firewall still remain the same password, the default password, like admin, right, in devices. Right, so the attacker can try to perform some brute force or try to look at the documentations to see what are the default password. Later on, if the attacker able to go in to our firewall, then he can try to look through the network settings, the firewall rules, and then from there, he will able to disclose our OT network information, right? These are the consequences and the likelihood how easy the hacker can able to perform this attack on this system, right? Based on the situation that I'm mentioning just now, is quite easy, right? Just go to the Google, search for the manual for the firewall, and then we can easily get the default password and go into system. So by having the consequences and likelihood, then we can calculate the risk. You can give it a number, for example, 10, right? So this is a risk. And in order to solve the risk, then we have to refer back to the guideline just now. In the guidelines, they have a 14 security controls. Then we can choose the correct controls that can able to mitigate the risk over there. Yeah, so these are the important parameters that we should have in our risk register. Yeah, so with a good articulation of the risk scenarios like this, right, with the parameters above, it will be very easy for us to understand the risk and also relate them to our business. Yeah, and then also easy for us to identify what are the targeted measures to address those risks. If you ask why I've invested in cybersecurity solution already, yet I still face the cybersecurity attacks, are our engineers or vendor are not doing their job, right? Instead of pointing the fingers to each other, your engineers, your vendors, or your consultants, right? You should also first spend a few moments to look at ourselves. Think for a while if we are the one that contributing to the security incident as well. Right, so here I have prepared a quiz for you, right? I prepared a quiz for you. So on my desktop, okay, on my desktop there are 2 Excel files. One of them is a virus. Okay, so write down your answer in the chat box. Which file do you think is a virus? So there are 2 files, right? One file is the Excel A. The second file will be the Excel B.xlsx. Okay, you can leave your answer in the chat box. A or B is a virus?
So I see there are some mixed answers. Some are saying XLA, some are saying XLB, some are saying A is virus.
Yeah. So let us check
Personally,
the
my answer was XLB. So please enlighten us, Mr. Gary.
All right, good. So let me review the answer, right? So this is quite easy to identify whether the file is a virus or not. Although two looking similar, the icon is similar, just the name a bit different. So we can easily check it by looking at the properties. When you look at the properties, you can see the XLA, it can be opened by an Excel file. Okay, you can open with an Excel file. And when we try to see the properties for the XLB, you can see that the type of file is an application, is an exe file actually. Yeah, so if you are saying the XLB, yeah, that's a correct answer. I have been asking this question for many times in my training. So far, still a huge number of the people not aware of this. Yeah. So just as an example, let's say I'm clicking on this Excel file. Right, you can see that the Excel icon is showing here, and then it says that, yeah, sorry, the wrong answer, I'm a virus. Yeah, over here. So although the file is seems like the correct file, but try not to trust the file immediately, where we have to also do some investigation on the file before I open the file. Yeah. Yeah, in the risk assessment just now, we mentioned a few parameters. Now we are looking into one of the parameter, vulnerabilities. The vulnerability is the root cause of the cybersecurity attacks, right? So software that we install or the operating system that running on our system will be having a security bugs. So if the configuration is not fine-tuned properly, the system is not updated. So it will open opportunity for the intruders to take advantage of it. So let me open up a browser again, right? So I just introduced one of the website that showing the database of the OT related system. You can also visit the website. This is the us-cert.cisa.gov. So from here, we can see a list of the vulnerabilities has been reported to them. Right? And from the list, we can see that actually quite a number of the product has been listed over here. Just take an example. For example, Schneider Electric, okay, and Eton, right, and so on. So from the result, we'll know that what are the possible vulnerabilities that existed in our current asset, right? So now you also will be realized why we need to record the core application just now in our asset inventory. So easy for us to cross-check, is our asset having the vulnerability over here? Yeah. So if yes, if our application having the vulnerabilities, what are the impact to us, right? So now we are come to a very interesting section. I'm going to do a demo on the digital attacks to simulate your production system, right? So from the demo here, you can see the impact of the virus if you are clicking on it, or the impact and the reason why this could be happen. Yeah. Let me close the browser and let me open up this. Right, you can see there's a Windows machine on the right hand side of my screen. Okay, so this is a vulnerable machine, right? You can imagine this is your MES system, your SCADA system, or any system that you have in your OT environment. So so now I'm trying to perform the attack on it. In order to easy for you to see the impact, I actually wrote a script to perform the attack, so easy for you to see the impact. All right, so I I let you to see the desktop as well, so you can see what are the impact that can brought by the virus if you're clicking on it. So first of all, what I going to demo is I try to just simply test the calculator lah. So I try to run the calculator and see whether this machine will be open up a calculator. Okay. I click on this. Right, can you see that there's some calculator is coming out over here? Yeah, so from here we can see that, wow, the command is actually working. Okay, so let us continue with some of the other actions. For example, download a virus. Is it possible I just download a virus without interacting with this system? Because from what we know earlier, maybe we will think that, yeah, maybe someone interacting with the system, like putting the USB drive, like clicking a wrong file in the system, then only the system will be infected by the virus. And now I'm doing it remotely. Basically, this is my computer. The attack simulation screen that you see here is my computer, and this computer is a remote computer. Yeah. And now I try to download a virus and see. Okay, I purposely poke up something for you to see. If not, in actual environment or the actual attack, the hacker will hide those things. But just because I want to let you know that something is happened, so I purposely poke up something for you to see. Yeah, you can see that after clicking on this download virus, yeah, there is the Excel file that we've seen just now. I just rename it to the work order, also related to MES, right? Work order, you upload the work order into the system. So the file is over there. Okay, so once the attacker plant a virus into our system, of course, he will not just stop there, he will try to run the virus as well. You can see that, yeah, they try to run the virus. So from there, he will try to proceed with the further action over there. All right, so after that, let me also try to perform the ransomware. Okay, so from there we can see that a simple ransomware is already put inside the system. And like what Mr Anwer mentioned earlier, right? Ransomware is one of the popular attack happening now. So after the ransomware is running onto the system, what will be happen? Let's see the desktop. Okay, it says that, yeah, it is a ransomware attack. Pay me back if you want to get back your files. All right. And when you look at the desktop, you can see previously there are some icon is actually there, or some of the application is actually there, but the file is being encrypted. And also you can see that sometimes the ransomware will also put the file extension name over there, like Y&Y technology over there. They put a funny name over there. And when you try, for example, this is the shortcut here that we have just now. And if you think you just remove the file extension name, it will solve the issue. Actually, if you not, it's not so easy. You definitely, they need you to pay them to get back all the files. Yeah. So this is how the ransomware works. And maybe you can also try some other features like after the attacker able to go inside your system, he can also try to collect those system information that can help them to perform the further attacks. For example, they will try to see what are the functionality of this system. Is it MES? If MES, then they will try to look at the attack that related to the MES. Yeah, you can see that. Yeah, the remote. We are able to get the screenshot for the remote computer over here. We can try to send some keystroke.
So, Mr. Gary, a quick question.
Yes.
All this breaching can happen if the victim's computer has the virus file. Correct. I
will let you know later.
Okay.
Yeah, why this can happen? Yeah, this is a very good question. You can see just now I just sent a keystroke So what this function trying to do is that we're actually trying to add like a keyboard and try to type something on your computer. All right. So for example, I just open up a notepad and then you're trying to type something over there. Okay. So this is a keystroke, and the other information as well we can try to do on the system, like collecting the network information. Maybe I'm attacking on a MES, but I know that the network shouldn't be only the MES, right? There should be other computer as well, like the SCADA, PLC, ERP system, and so on. So from the network information, I can also easily get the IP addresses and also the other IP addresses that related to this machine. Yeah. So from there, I can explore. I can expand the attacks from me. Yeah. So now I get back to Chris' question: how this thing can be done? Okay. So let me review the answer. Basically, the reason can be done is because this system is running some vulnerable application. Yeah. Still remember the list that I was showing just now? When we go to a website, the website lists down the vulnerabilities that existed on the particular devices or the application. Yeah. So when the application have the vulnerabilities, the hacker can take advantage of these vulnerabilities and go inside to our system. For example, the demo just now, actually I'm attacking on this this file server application. Yeah. So when this file application server is running and is vulnerable, before we apply the patches, before we do the proper security configuration, you can see I try to run the calculator again. The calculator will be running, right? And now I try to maybe I try to close the application, right? I just make sure the application is not running, and I try to run the calculator again. Now you can see that the calculator is not coming anymore. Yeah. And I open up again, and I try to run the calculator again. Yeah, you can see a new calculator is coming out. Yeah, so the issue is because of the application that we're running on the system. Yeah, that's why we mentioned just now the asset register is very important. Besides written down what are the host name, IP addresses, which we are doing commonly, we also need to know what are the application that is running on the system. And we have to check regularly, is there any vulnerabilities that existed on the application, right? So if yes, then we have to apply some remediation on it.
Right.
Okay.
Understood.
So this is the demo related to the digital attacks. Let me go back to the slides. Okay, so the objective to implement the cybersecurity programs is to ensure the CIA in our system. So the CIA is the confidentiality, integrity, availability of our system. So from the demo that we've seen just now, we can see that the virus or the intruder can actually compromise the CIA over here. For example, after the attack has been done, the disclosure of the system and also network information can be done also. The intruder can also try to modify the system, like installing the virus and also executing some funny program in our system. Besides that, he can also try to disrupt the system running by encrypting the file system, so that for example, let's say the SCADA system, right, is heavily rely on the project files, right? So when the ransomware is inside the system, the ransomware will try to encrypt those project files, so that when the application, SCADA application is running, it could affect the display of it. Yeah, or if you not allow, if you not show anything related to the process. Yeah, so this is quite dangerous over there. So from here we can see that the impact is actually not only affecting on the system itself. After the system has been compromised, it will also affect our business also. So just now we analyzed the impact of the cybersecurity attacks from a system point of view, right? So to understand the impact of the cybersecurity into our business, first we have to understand how the system works and what are the business process that related to it. So for example, right, those are the assets that are available in our production network, commonly the ERP system, the MES system, SCADA system, PLC, engineering workstation, yeah, and also the sensors, right? So these are the common elements in our production environments. So from here, I have also tried to write down the critical process related to the asset. So for example, some organization is having the MES that allow us to upload the work order as an Excel file, right? So from just now you can see that some of us actually still not able to differentiate the virus and also the original Excel file, right? So imagine that if we are trying to upload those virus into our MES system, or we're clicking on the wrong Excel file. So if you're actually affecting our MES system, like what we are seeing in the demo just now, the hacker able to go inside the MES system. So when he go to the MES system, he will try to explore the network. For example, he will try to see where are the PLC, right? Where are the HMI or the SCADA? So after he identified those messages, then he will also try to look for the vulnerabilities that related to that machine, and then try to go inside there again. So let's say if he able to access the PLC directly from the MES, let's say he able to do so. So what hacker trying to do is maybe you try to do some, they'll try to send some commands to a PLC, right? For example, this PLC will allow start or stop a certain machine, right? For example, now is started, the machine is started, and then what hacker trying to do is he try to send a stop command to PLC. So your machine will be stopped, and then because the machine will be stopped, then you have some unplanned stop in your production already. Yeah. Or what hacker can try to do is, let's say he try to go inside your MES system, he trying to manipulate the data inside. For example, he try to edit or cancel your order into the MES system. Well, so very troublesome if you're facing like this. Or he try to delete those history of the completed orders and so on. So one of the important element for the MES is the traceability, right? So imagine that if the cybersecurity attack can be happen, if we will lost the traceability over there already. And I think one of the critical action can be done by the hacker is the hacker trying to do something bad at the back end, right? But in front is still looking normal. Wow, so this is the critical one. For example, he stopped the PLC, he stopped your machine, but on your SCADA or HMI, it's showing the machine is still running. So imagine that if this situation happen, if you actually affect the calculation of your MES also. Yeah. So by explaining those scenario to you is to tell you that the cybersecurity is not something that related to your system or your device only. Actually, the cybersecurity is related to your business as well. Yeah. Okay, so just now we have see the vulnerabilities, we have see the consequences. Let's say the system has the vulnerabilities. So after we have a good understanding of this risk scenario, right? By identifying those vulnerabilities and understand the consequences after the vulnerability is exploited by the intruders, then only we can implement the security controls that can fully address the root cause. Yeah. And when we come to the security controls, who do you think should be the one that implementing the security controls? A manufacturer or the solution provider? If you think it's a manufacturer responsibilities to implement the security controls, then you can type an M in the chat box. If you think it's a solution provider, please type S in the chat box.
We have few answers saying S. It's a solution provider.
Yes.
Most of them, there's
Solution
3
provider.
saying S.
Oh, not
There's
no
one
one saying
saying,
it's a manufacturer.
there's one person who said there was manufacturer, but most of the answers are
Okay.
saying that it's a solution provider.
Yeah, we assume the service provider will do this thing for us, but at the end, actually, they will not do it. Based on our observation, and most of the cases is like that. So yeah, actually, it's a shared responsibility. You know, it's not only the manufacturers. SI should also look at this guide too, for the security guide provided by the Cybersecurity Malaysia. So after we implementing those security controls, then we can also engage a third party for the assessment or the audit to verify if there is any missing vulnerabilities, or check is it the security controls are actually properly in place, right? So when we prepare a asset register and also the risk register, we will be having a better understanding for our current settings, right? Instead of just believing solely on the concept. Right? Of course, if you don't have expertise within our organization to do this risk assessment or defining the security requirements, then you can also engage a third-party vendors to help you to do that, maybe during the project planning stage. So once we do the risk assessment, like we go through just now, right? Then we will know that what are the security requirements or control is required to close those vulnerabilities. Of course, as a manufacturer, we can also let our vendors or the security solution, solution providers to know that our requirements are required during the design stage, so that the security is provided when they provide a solution to you. Right. So in this way, the vendor will not just focusing on the functionality, but it will also focusing on the security aspect as well. So I just take one example over here. So these are the control that I get from the guideline, some of the controls. So just now I go back to the scenario that I give just now, the firewall, right? There's a firewall with a weak passwords management assisted in the network, OT network. So how can we solve this issue in future? So first, manufacturer have to establish a process. They have to maybe give a security requirements to the vendor. So, or he requests the vendor to provide a hardening checklist for them, and make sure that this checklist has been implemented. Okay, so this is what manufacturer can do. And for the solution provider, as the solution provider is an expertise in the cybersecurity or the products, so they can also trying to do some security testing on the solution, right? And also trying to identify what are the possible risks related to their products. And then from there, he tried to close those vulnerabilities. Yeah, so to reduce the attack surface towards the products. So these are the things that we can do when we deliver the services to our customer. Okay, next. Last but not least, besides we having a risk management in place, we should also have a mechanism in place to monitor the security status in our production network as well. Okay, okay, just now we recall what we have in the asset inventory. We can actually also upgrade our asset inventory just now to include also the baseline, so that we will know that how the system should actually work in the normal way. Right. Minimum, we should turn on the logging features to record the security related events on our devices. Yeah. For example, the login time, login success or failure attempts, action related to the critical text in our SCADA applications. Right. So we have to enable those settings. Then only we can review the logs regularly to identify is there any abnormal behavior happens in our asset. Right. So for example, by having a logs enabled, then we will know that who actually trying to log into our firewall, to our system. Is the login time normal? Is it someone trying to log in at the midnight, or Is it someone trying to log in during the lunch hour, which everyone is out of the office? Yeah, so we can see on the time. Has operator trying to modify the critical tag value, right? Are you able to identify who are the ones that log into the system, and is it using a shared account? Because sometimes we are just using admin or the engineer, so those shared account. So from that, actually, we still not able to identify who are the ones that actually log into the system, right? So from the log review exercise, we can actually also know what are the limitations of our current implementation of the security program. All right. So of course, we have to do few rounds of these log review. Then only we will know that how should our system work in normal way. And finally, ideally, the logs shall be centralized into a monitoring dashboard or monitoring console, so easy for us to have a better insight for the overall security status in our OT plant. And from the screen, you can see that this is an example of the monitoring dashboard that we have built for one of our projects. It has multiple logs from different brand products and integrated into the dashboard. Before cybersecurity became a common topic, few years back, one of the manufacturers in our country was infected by a ransomware in their production plant. The incident is not reported, okay, and then they actually took 2 weeks to recover those systems, but the root cause of the attack is still not identified. They just suspect is coming from a USB. So the better prepared we are, the faster we can respond to those cybersecurity incidents, and at the same time we can also reduce the cost of the damage. Worldwide technology has been actively supporting the Industry 4.0 by combining the business consulting, system implementation, and also the technology and business process expertise. We are also one of the MITI Industry Forward Readiness Assessor and the strategic partner of Cybersecurity Malaysia. Leveraging our vast experience in OT from level 0, level 1 PLC, level 2 SCADA, level 3 MES. Yeah, we provided the wide and wide go digital defense in-depth security solution, especially in the manufacturing and also the water industry, to help you to identify the security threats relevant to your current production environment, so that you're able to focus on the implementation of the effective security measures. And due to the time constraints, there are still many tips which I couldn't share today. If you wish to learn more on how can you enhance your current cybersecurity program, yeah, feel free to scan the QR code above, okay, or go to our official website, www.yytechnology.com.my to drop us an inquiry. It's my pleasure to share my experience and also the knowledge with you today. I hope you find them useful. Yeah, thank you for listening, and I shall pass the floor back to our moderator, yeah, Mr. Chris.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Gary. That was a very useful explanation for all of us. So we shall proceed with some Q&A from our audience. Okay, so there's one question that was asked earlier when you showed the how do we identify the virus files. Okay, so the question was, so should we always download the files from our emails to our desktop first to check for the file type before, or how does it actually work when we download? Because most of the time we receive Excel files and Word files from email, and then when you want to do it fast, right, we just straight away click download. So is it, I mean, when we click download, does that already, if let's say it's a virus content, does it automatically get saved into the PC?
It's better to download the file on your desktop first before we clicking on the file. It's better to do this. But actually, commonly, right, the email software that we are having now is having some protection already. So basically, when someone trying to send a ESE file or a malicious file, it will actually trying to alert us to know that this file is not secure. Yeah, so that's the security protection over there already. Just that for better security, we should also do a double check on it.
All right. So yeah, following up from that,
share one. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Maybe I can also share one website to you. Okay, you can go to the website like a virus total. If you think that a file is very suspicious, like you receive some PDF, although it's a PDF file or although it's a Excel file, doesn't mean that it's a correct file. You know, the hacker is actually can also make use of the macro, one of the features in the Excel file that make use of it and run some ransomware or virus into our computer. It still can be happen. So even though the file is a correct Excel file, right, it still could be the virus over there. So if you receive the suspicious file from anyone, what you can do is you can go to this virus total website. You can just Google the virus total, and then from there you can try to upload the file to here.
So
okay,
this
example,
website will.
Yeah, this is a free website. You can try to explore. For example, I try to upload the XLB that I created earlier. Okay, so from the scan report, we can this virus total will try to make use of many antivirus engine to perform a scanning. So from there we will know that is there any cybersecurity solution detect the file as a malware or the virus over here. So for example, 69 antivirus has been used to perform the scanning on the Excel file just now. Only 3 antivirus able to detect it as a virus.
So that means it shows that the file was a virus file.
Yeah. So this is what we can do.
A clean file into the website?
Yeah, pardon?
If you put a clean file, like a real Excel file, how will the display be?
So just now I upload the virus, right? So now I try to upload a correct file. I think it's the same file, is it? Okay, yeah. So this is XLA file. So here you can see that it's 0. None of the antivirus detect is a malicious file.
All right. So this will be very useful for people who are dealing with a lot of files a lot of times.
Yeah. So maybe I can get one more scenario. How when will we click on the virus? So one of the possible case is maybe you receive some email from a vendor, and vendor asks you to upgrade the software. Maybe they found there's some security vulnerability, so they ask you to upgrade the software. So they give you a link in the email and let you to download the installer. Yeah, and although receive this is better also to have a scanning on the installer as well. So maybe the installer is not the actual installer coming from the vendor, is a hacker. So when we installing the thing, so we actually will also install a backdoor into our system. So the attacker can go to our system.
Sorry. So when the vendor sends the link, so does that mean that the vendor itself is sending the virus link, or along the way it was affected by hackers?
The hacker could how to say impersonate the vendor to send an email to you. Yeah, it could be happen. Or like what Inject and what presenting just now, that could be also the hacker attacking on the vendor. So the vendor is having some security issues that will actually impact us as well, like the SolarWinds incident recently. Yeah, so there are 2 different methods for the hacker.
So the vendor itself is not aware that he was under attack.
Yes,
basically.
yes.
Understood. All right. So moving on to the next question. For an example, if let's say I accidentally, my bad luck, accidentally open or infected file. So how should we respond to it if we get attacked? Just your opinion of what can be done to save our computers or files, or as much as we can save.
Okay, so basically when we clicking on the malware, right, it's very hard for us to recover back. It's very hard. Just like you putting down your mask and then walk around now. Yeah, something similar to that lah. So when you're infected, then you can't do much actually. Yeah. But what you can do is you learn from the mistake. You after you're infected by the attack, you try not just simply recover the thing, because I see many client, right, what they did actually, they just simply recover all the system after they're infected by the ransomware, and they didn't know what are the root cause that caused the thing happens. So my suggestion is, let's say we click on the files, or the system is infected by the malware. What we need to do is we can further the analysis investigation on it, so we can only know what are the root cause of the attack, and we try to do something on the root cause to prevent the same thing happen again. Yeah.
I see. All right. All right. So there's another question from one of our audience. Is it safe to download an unknown file that may potentially contain virus to our desktop to check for viruses, be it to upload on VirusTotal or to check for the file type?
Okay. First of all, maybe I will ask this audience, why you need to download the unknown file from at first. So it's better not to download the unknown file lah. Also, when we download the file, let's say I want to upgrade our virus signatures, or when we want to upgrade our version of the application, it's better we go to the official website and then download the thing. Yeah, so these are the first step. Yeah, so if you download the unknown file, yeah, of course, the VirusTotal that I mentioned is one of the place that you can check the files.
All right. I hope that answers the audience. There's one more question. SCADA and MES are normally busy running their applications and log files in milliseconds or seconds. VirusScan tends to slow down the application. Any compromise to the performance of application and protect vulnerability?
Okay, so maybe I can explain this in two things. One is the antivirus, one is the vulnerability assessment. So yeah, I agree with that. So some of our clients is actually also facing this issue previously, right? So they try to they install the antivirus, but they turn off the antivirus features into their SCADA system, because yeah, it will affect the system performance. So for the system like that, like SCADA, actually not much changes to the system normally, right? For the SCADA system. So commonly we will suggest to install the whitelisting, the application control software instead of the antivirus inside the system. Yeah, so this is one of the alternative solution you can do lah. So by having the application control, then we will limit what are the trusted process, what are the trusted software to be running on the system. Let's say just now I able to run a ransomware on the MES, I able to run the virus on the system, because there's no application control in place, right? So after we enable the application control, then we can define what are the trusted application, then we only allow this thing to be run on the system. Yeah, so this one of it, we can use the application control. And also for the vulnerabilities, actually antivirus may not stop the vulnerability attack, like what I presented just now, right? Unless you are using those advanced antivirus, like the antivirus that can checking on the behavior, they're having a machine learning or AI, right? If not, the attack might not be detected by the endpoint protection over there, because it's different concept. How the antivirus works is they're trying to let's say the conventional antivirus. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to scan your file against a list of the database, right? If this antivirus vendor detect this virus before, if you have a signature like a DNA of the file, and this DNA will record it inside a database. That's why we need to regularly update our antivirus software, because we want to update the database as well, right? Actually, from here you can also see a limitation of the conventional antivirus. Yeah. The database will be getting bigger and bigger. So every time when you perform update, right, you can see the database is getting bigger. So it's one of the limitation of the conventional antivirus. Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
this is one thing for that. So come back to the vulnerability vulnerability. So apart from the solution, the endpoint protection software, we can also engage the third party to perform the vulnerability assessment on the system. Mr Anwer also mentioned earlier during his presentation. So for the vulnerability assessment, basically the assessor will try to perform some scanning on your system, so to try to identify the loopholes in your system. Yeah, so from there you know that what are the security weaknesses in your current software, and then what are the recommended action to be done. So the recommended action actually is quite simple sometimes. For example, maybe you just have to just turn off some features, you turn on some security features, or do some minor configuration, could be able to solve the issue lah. Yeah.
I see, I see.
So there are two areas we can see this question.
Okay, moving on to the next question, we have actually quite a number of questions. Other than firewall between ISP and our intranet, what are other safety measures that can be taken?
Okay, fine. Besides the firewall, what are the solutions we can also put in our OT environment? I think before I answer this question, I have to highlight one thing. This is what I seen in the project as well. So normally our sales team they will also ask me this question sometimes. They say that this is their architecture lah. So they have a firewall over there. So is it considered safe or not? So by having a firewall in a diagram doesn't mean that you actually have a firewall functionality. It's just something on the diagram only. That give you a false sense of security, telling you that by right the thing should be blocked. But whether it's really blocking or not, it depends on the configuration inside your device. So besides purchasing for the solution, we have to make sure that the configuration inside the product is also well configured over there to make sure the protection is over there. Yeah. So this one point. The second point is, let's say you know that firewall is not enough already. You want to enhance your security level. You can also try to go for the solution like the intrusion detection system or the intrusion prevention system. Yeah. So what are the differences between the firewall and also the intrusion detection system, IDS in short, or the intrusion prevention system, IPS in short, right? The differences are, for example, the firewall, it's quite simple. We just say what are the things is allowed to come in or come out from our network. What are the things is not allowed to communicate inside our network. All right. So what if the attack is coming from the trusted connection? Then your firewall will actually allow them. Right? For example, ERP is connecting to the MES. So in the firewall, you configure that only the ERP can communicate with the MES. Okay, it's a good practice, right? But let's say ERP is being compromised, hacker attack on the ERP, and they try to use the ERP attack on your MES, and your firewall can't do anything for that because you already allow them to go in. So this is the limitation of the firewall. Okay, so by having IDS or IPS, the solution will actually look inside the packet. You know that what are the things sending from this ERP to the MES? Is it some attacking scripts over there? So if yes, they will try to stop the attack over there. So this additional level for the security that we have.
I see. Okay, thanks, Mr. Gary. Moving on to one more. Maybe we can answer a few more and then you can conclude today's session. Okay, can antivirus with virtual patching feature replace actual patching?
Okay, virtual patching. So virtual patching is a concept that for example, let's say you have a endpoint protection that have a memory protection, right? So the memory protection actually consider one of the virtual patching concept also. Let's say just now I'm able to compromise the MES machine because of vulnerability, right? So let's say the software, as what we know in the OT, right? We are using the obsolete software, or the vendor is not upgrading the software anymore. Basically the vulnerability you can't close it in this case. So you have to make use of this virtual patching. Yeah, when the attacker trying to perform the same attack on the system by having the antivirus with the virtual patching, then the attack will not be work because they do some protection over there. Even though you didn't solve the root cause, but you have a protection layer over there, yeah, to help you to prevent the same attack. Yeah. So if we can't patch the system, yeah, so this virtual patching is another thing we can apply.
All right. And in relevance, how do you perform vulnerability assessment? Will it affect our network or server?
Yeah, this is a very good questions. Okay, especially for the production environment. How we perform the vulnerability assessment is actually different from what we did for the IT environment. The IT environment and also the OT environment is two different idea, right? Because IT for the OT, right, we have to make sure that our production is keep running. We cannot tolerate any unplanned downtime over there, and also for information, like some of the because we are using old devices like PLC maybe 10 years ago, right? So those are very vulnerable system in our OT environment. So when we're performing some attacks or vulnerability scanning over there, actually it may cause denial of service of the devices. It make your PLC not responding. It make your system blue screen. So this could be happen if we just apply the concept in the IT and bring over to the OT. Yeah, if not mistaken, you can also have a look on the NIST special publication. Let me check the file again. If not mistaken, you can have a look on the file called NIST SP 800-82.
One more time, NIST.
Let me tap on the chat box.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether you see
SP 800-82.
Yeah, this another guideline you can refer to secure your industrial control system. If not mistaken, it's written in this document, right? There are two cases where the manufacturer engaged the IT vendor to perform the security assessment on the plant. Okay, so when they perform the attack over there, yeah, it caused the unplanned downtime already over the plant. Yeah, so the main message I want to bring here is when we perform the OT assessment, we have to make sure that we know what OT is running over there. Then only you can perform the assessment. If not, there is a risk over there that maybe once you perform the assessment, you can't recover back how it should work in the normal way. Yeah, so there is a risk over there. And also for the OT environment is we try not to do in the intrusive way. Not like the IT. In IT we can do in the intrusive way, but in OT we try not to do that. It's better to do in the passive way. Of course, you can do in the intrusive way when you are in the design stage, which your plant is still not running yet. Yeah, you're still in the design stage. Yeah, so this is the time you can perform those penetration testing over your plant. So when your plant is already running, then it's not recommended to do so.
All right, understood. Okay, one more question before we end this session. If a hacker hacked in our computer, the performance of the computer will be slow or normal? This is, I guess, is for average layman using computers. Will it actually show some sort of, sometimes how it lags and so on? Does it mean that our PC has been breached or?
Yeah, so for this question is hacks. There are few things we can see it lah. Let's say basically the virus is just like a software for the hacker to automate some action for him, right? So let's say the hacker only wanted to perform a simple action. So basically, if you won't affect the performance of the system, because maybe they just, for example, they just wanted to create a new account on your system. Basically, it's just a command, right? Just a command to create a new account. So basically, it won't affect the performance of the system.
So
it
you
depends
won't know
on how much. Yeah, depends on how much the hacker wanted to do on your system. Yeah.
I see.
So if the hacker how to say, like our coffee, a 3-in-1. If they do the same concept, put everything inside one application, then affect your computer. Yes.
So it depends on the function of the virus in the first place.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Understood, Mr. Gary. Okay. I think with that we can come to the conclusion of our session. Okay. Again, once again, I hope MPC and also YNY Technology and also Cybersecurity, we hope that all the information shared by our speakers today can be beneficial to all the participants and the audience here. And I hope you can actually implement the knowledge that we learned to improve your business and continue growing. Okay. So MPC will be organizing more webinars like this related to Industry 4.0, because that's the direction that we are looking forward to go. So please keep yourself updated. You can follow our social media to see on our next topics and so on. All right. So with that said, once again, thank you, Mr. Gary. Thank you, Mr. Anwar, if you are still there. And all right, we will see you all in our next session. Thanks, guys.
See you.
See you.